tell them suckers to move. I ain't in the mood. Got me with the crew, let me do what I do. I tell them suckers to poof. Got me in the booth, lobby in the truth. Let me do what I do. Yeah, remember when the U come through, enter the music jungle. Or back with the block, I used to rock, I used to fumble. I still rock down, drop the ball when I want to. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Manny.
My name's Alberto.
And this is the OnlyFights Podcast.
Episode 21.
Episode 21.
What's up, man?
What's going on, bro?
Still a little shock from some of the fights from last night.
Man, more crazy stuff, man, after the weekend.
Yeah, man. It was awesome.
Some stuff that we called, man.
Yeah, a lot.
We'll get into that though, man.
For sure.
We had a lot of stuff, man. Let's start with some boxing, man.
Yeah.
We had Dazn. Dimitri Biebel. I didn't get a chance to watch that fight because it was on during the same time as the Conor Benn card.
Yeah.
But he won. Like I said, I ain't watch it, so not much to say about that. It seems like he got a lopsided decision. Outpointed the dude. I don't even have his name, but not really exciting. Not sure what that's gonna warrant, other than just more mandatories.
Yeah. So that's 175?
Yeah, 170 light heavyweight.
So that's right there with Canelo, right?
I mean, Canelo, man, he up and down all over the place right now. He's at 168.
Yeah.
Undisputed there, but he's looking to go up to cruiserweight. You know what I mean? But
yeah.
that is where I think he's gonna end up.
And then other light heavyweights, Better Beatev too, right?
Yeah, Better Beatev. He's a champion. He has I think 2 of the sanctioning body titles
for light heavyweight.
And then you have Joe Smith. I think Joe Smith Jr. has a WBO. They fought before Biebel and Joe Smith before Joe Smith was a champion.
You think that's a rematch people want to see?
I mean, Joe Smith hurt Biebel a few times in that fight at the end. But ultimately, I think Biebel knows how to beat him.
Yeah.
It's not something I'm really trying to see too much. For real, I think he should just fight Better Beatev. Try to unify. And then if he needs to, fight Joe Smith. But
yeah,
that's not the one that I'm really hyped to see. But yeah, you know how I am with Canelo at 175. Any of those guys will do.
How many times did he fight there? Just that one time?
Yeah, with Kovalev.
Yeah.
But I think the fight that people really want to see is with Better Beatev, because that's he's like the most resemblance of like a Triple G.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? So that would be like seeing Canelo fight another Triple G type fighter with more prime and bigger.
Yeah.
He Better Beatev fights next on Friday against Marcus Brown. So
nice.
We'll get into that with the future events, but yeah. So anyways, Demetrius Biebel gets the decision, and like I said, doesn't really impress other than just outpointing the dude. So moving on to the other card, which is the one I actually was watching, the Conor Benn versus Chris Algeri from New York.
Yeah.
I forget exactly where. I think like Long Island or something. But yeah, Conor Benn, rising heavyweight. He's out the UK, son of the legendary British fighter Nigel Benn. So like I said, he goes up against Algeri, who I guess you could say was kind of like a top dog in the welterweight division, who just lost to the better guys like Manny Pacquiao and a much more prime Amir Khan.
Yeah.
And he only got stopped once by Errol Spence,
Right.
So, I think he was on like a 3 or 4 fight win streak. Something like that.
Before that.
Yeah. And so takes on Conor Benn. And Conor Benn's looking good, man. He's going to the body, something that he seems to neglect. And good boxing. Algeri has his moments, man, but in the 4th round, was it the 4th round? At the end of it, catches him with a nice one. So we posted a clip on the story, man.
Yeah.
He had him up against the ropes, and he just caught him with a nice 1-2 and knocked him out cold, man. had his arm cocked back for another, and just saw him go down. It was beautiful. That's a knockout of the year candidate right there. Yeah, like for the longest time, or for the time being, I really had Jaron Ennis as like the best up and coming welterweight
Yeah.
right now, but I don't know, man. If you put him up against Conor Benn, I think I'd have to put my money on Conor Benn. I
Really?
think he's the top. I think he's better than Boots. I think he's better than Virgil Ortiz. I mean,
What about compared to some of the, some of the veteran guys like Crawford and Spence?
yeah, I think he'll, like, when he's ready. You know what I mean? I'm not sure how much longer those guys have in the game,
Yeah.
but I could see him beating Keith Thurman, and not that Sean Porter's in the mix anymore, but I could see him beating like that level. I don't know about Errol Spence and Bud. I don't
Yeah.
think he's there, but yeah, man, he showed good fundamentals and finished the job when he had to. Yeah, I think he's the brightest one right now out of that whole new crop of welterweights.
Yeah. I think Keith Thurman he just got a fight. Who was he?
Oh,
What was
yeah. Mario Barrios,
Yeah.
former Tank opponent, before Isaac Cruz. Yeah, he's moving up to 147.
Oh, sure.
And Keith, one time, is finally. He has so many different nicknames. People
Yeah.
call him like Keith sometimes, Thurman, and Keith. The funniest one I heard
That's
was
funny. Sometimes Thurman.
Keith Once Upon a Time Thurman.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
So wait, so he hasn't fought since the loss to Pacquiao?
Yep. And it was that fight. And before that, he fought Josecito Lopez,
Yeah.
where he almost got knocked out in like the 8th or 9th round. He was wobbled. And other than that, he successful fight, but he was wobbled in that fight, and that was
Yeah.
coming off a layoff to the Danny Garcia fight. So he really hasn't been like a prime Keith Thurman
Yeah.
for quite some time. I still think he should be able to win this fight. He's fighting a smaller guy, but we'll see. Yeah.
Man, I'm always, every time I think about Pacquiao, I'm always pissed that fight didn't happen with Spence.
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of not, because
Yeah, I guess it could have
obviously
been worse, but
Pacquiao couldn't have beaten Ugas that night, so Spence would have, he might have did some damage. But yeah, anyways, that was the Conor Benn fight, and in the main event, going backwards here, because I thought this should have been the main event. You know what I'm saying? I thought it was kind of disrespectful to have an up and coming rising star.
yeah.
No shame in that, having the main event. But for that to trump, undisputed championship bout, in the women's boxing, that's kind of disrespectful. But unfortunately, I do see the reasoning. That there's a lot of bias in boxing where people say things like, "Well, I don't watch women's boxing," and
Yeah, for sure.
things like that. So if you were to put that on the main event, people wouldn't watch the other fights. You know what I'm saying? Just because of that. And
Yeah.
kind of messed up. But anyways, that's why I'm going backwards here. So Katie Taylor defends her undisputed championship against Firuza Sharapova, and that was a scrap, man. That was a good fight. Sharapova managed to make things really interesting in the opening rounds. In the beginning of the fight, she had a lot of success on the inside, and Katie Taylor, she obviously didn't back down and made it a fight, made things interesting. The judges would ultimately give it to Katie Taylor. I would say took control somewhere in the middle rounds, and have her success late in the fight. But
Yeah.
yeah, man, it was a good fun fight in the women's division. Another fight that just made me wish that they went 12 rounds and not 10, and they went 3 minutes and not 2.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because
Yeah, they gotta change that.
yeah, it
Don't make sense.
bullshit. But anyways,
So I know Amanda Serrano fights this upcoming weekend, right?
yeah, she's on that Jake Paul undercard.
So does she have any belts or no? I guess not, right?
Yeah,
'Cause
yeah.
She does.
I forget what division, but I know she's either a class above or below Katie Taylor. But I'm sure they could make that fight.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They've been talking about it. That seems to be like the legacy one. You know what I mean, for Katie Taylor. You know, just to kind of wrap up everything that she's been doing. If she could manage to win that fight,
Yeah, get like a big name.
I always thought that she would. Unfortunately, you know,
Yeah.
Puerto Rican. So gotta root for the.
So you think she'll get her?
I don't know, man. Like, you know, seeing this fight, like seeing how, like, you know, Sharapova handled her, and you know, that's kind of how like Amanda Serrano fights. You know what I mean? Like just rough.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And relentless. So like on the inside, and yeah, I think if she could do that and manage to you know, just have more success than Sharapova, like she could probably beat her.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I mean, you could say the same thing about Serrano. Like it's a legacy fight for her too. You know, like yeah, but that would be a good one. She can also, I think, if she moves up, she could fight Michaela Mayer, who, you know, she had a good fight with Hamadous.
And who's Amanda Serrano fighting this weekend?
Miriam Gutierrez.
Nice.
Yeah, I don't know much about her, but I'll look into her. You know what I mean? Yeah, I mean, I don't know. You know, Katie Taylor, you know, she's been pretty dominant. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
we'll see what's up, man. But you know, Amanda Serrano, obviously a top fighter. That'll be a really good fight. That's definitely main event worthy.
Yeah, for sure.
If not, you know, the co-main of a very good main event already. You know what I mean? But yeah, man. So I didn't get to watch anything else on the DAZN card. I know Hank Lundy took a L. But you know, not much to say about that. That was during the day. Later on, we would have the Top Rank card that I was watching. You know, headlined by Vasyl Lomanchenko.
Yep.
And we're taking on Richard Commey. So, you know, that's just a continuation of the 135 division that we've been talking about for like 2 weeks now. Yeah, so let's start with one of my favorite up and coming prospects, Xander Zayas, stopping Alicio Mastrazio in one round. It was, you know, really just a one-sided masterclass beatdown. But it was great for his stock. You know, I'm not really sure where he goes from here. I guess, you know, Top Rank will just match him well enough to keep climbing the ranks and all that.
That was one of the real early ones?
Yeah, that was on the app and before the, you know, during the ceremony, whatever they was having before that.
Yeah.
But when the actual card started, you had Nico Aliwash,
Yep.
you know, taking on Reyes Sanchez. And yeah, he struggled. You know, he struggled in this fight. Well, he took the first 2 rounds, I thought.
Yeah.
And he struggled in the last 2. So you could argue that he didn't win the fight. Could have been a draw. One of the judges had it a draw, but he escapes with a majority decision. You know, it's only his 3rd fight. You know, he still has a lot to learn and improve on. He was getting hit a lot. With really both hands.
Yeah. He seemed to have the guy hurt at one point
in the 2nd round. Yeah. But ultimately couldn't finish him. So
yeah,
you know, this we'll see where he goes. I mean, he's working with Sugar Hill. You know, that's you know.
Oh yeah, that's good.
Tyson Fury's guy.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm sure they're gonna keep him in good hands for the time being until he's ready to, you know, really move on up.
And that was only a 4-round fight, right?
Yeah, 4-rounder. Yeah.
So how does that work? It's just based off like the level of experience, whether they get. Because I noticed as the night went on, we had a couple 4-round fights, we had a couple 6-round fights, and then there was like an 8-rounder.
Yeah, I mean, you know, as you move up, you know, when you start your career, you start with these like 4-round. I think that's like the shortest I've seen is a 4-round fight.
Yeah.
And you know, just kind of work your way up, 6 rounds, 8 rounds, 10, and then eventually championship fights or championship rounds, I should say.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's how that works. I mean, it's just like levels, I guess would be the.
That's huge difference in levels, right? Like 4 rounds and then to eventually be going 12 rounds. Holy shit.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you can spar, you know, like 12 rounds and train. You can spar more than that, but it's nothing like being in an actual fight.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, after the Nico fight, we had Kashan Davis out of the Olympics.
Yeah. So silver medalist.
Silver medalist. Yep. 22 years old. Improves to 4-0 with 3 knockouts as he, really just kind of
Yeah, he looks sharp.
demolishes Jose Zaragoza.
Yeah.
Yeah. Second round. Body shots, man. Nasty body shots. It was
He had a punch in the canvas on the last one. Like,
yeah, absolutely.
You could tell he was.
He got up though. He got up, and the referee had to call it off, which was the right decision. But
Yeah.
my God, yeah, he
Yeah, I thought he looked really good. He looked sharp. He looked confident, not too like over, throwing crazy punches or anything. Composed.
yeah, he's got nothing but good praise while he was in the Olympics. He works with Crawford.
Yeah.
Crawford's camp. So, yeah, man, we'll see where he goes from here, man. After that, Jared Anderson, big baby, taking on Alexander Teslenko.
Yep.
I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that right, but hey, man, just a showing fight, step up fight, whatever you want to call it, or I'm sorry, not a step up fight, a tune-up fight, whatever you want to call it. He TKOs him in the second round. Really wasn't close. Yeah. I like Jared Anderson. I want to see where he goes from here. I think he's gonna be ready for better in competition. Something like I don't know, maybe like a Gerald Washington or Adam Kanaki. You know what I mean? Put him in there against Adam Kanaki. That'll be a good fight. See where he's at.
Yeah, he's got a bunch of knockouts in a row now, right? At least we've seen the last one on the the Wilder and Fury card.
I think all his fights are knockouts.
Or
yeah, 11-0, 11 KOs.
Damn.
Yeah, man. So I just want to see where he goes from here. But like I said, with steeper levels of competition.
Yeah, he definitely got like that next level power where he's just putting guys out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. He's an American, so it's like gonna be that next American heavyweight.
Yep.
And he fits the mold too. He's not like big and sluggish. Like he has an athletic build and good movement.
Yeah, kind of a showman too.
Yeah, definitely. Talked a lot of trash in the weigh-in and all that stuff. So.
Yeah.
But then in the main event, we had the return of high tech Vasyl Lomanchenko and the return of Richard Commey. Great former IBF titleist out of Ghana.
Well, what was his last fight?
You know what? I don't have his name, but
But it wasn't the loss with Teofimo?
Nah, I believe he had 1 or 2 fights in between that.
Okay.
And but in his last fight, I think he had a good knockout victory.
So he bounced back from that loss.
Oh yeah. Richard Commey, he's a good fighter. He's gonna bounce back from losses. In this fight, Loma had a slow start, as per usual. Well, he picked it up in the second, but
yeah, I was gonna say I don't think it was like as slow as usual.
Yeah. But I guess around like the 3rd or 4th round, Loma had them all figured out and was just kind of tactically breaking them down. Richard Commey would always have a little bit of success from time to time. He'd fire off some combinations, most of them being blocked, but every now and then getting a punch, getting a hard shot through here and there. Which is why you can't count the guy out.
Yeah, or just showing that he was still there too.
Yeah, I think he had his best round in like the 9th or 10th.
Yeah, for sure.
And that could have been a round that Loma was taking off, but more or less just absolute classy performance by Lomachenko.
Yeah.
Didn't get him out of there, but through the course of 12 rounds, he would win a unanimous decision with scores. With one score being 117 to 110 and 2 scores reading 119 to 108. So that's a pretty dominant, decision right there. Yeah, man. Loma, again, he's a part of that. This is just a continuation of that 135-pound discussion. You know, he's in there. He's in the mix, and there's nothing wrong with saying that he's the best one, man. Like out of all of them, because he's the most proven.
Yeah.
Certainly the most proven as an amateur and as a professional. So certainly as an amateur. I don't care who he fights next, as long as it's one of those guys. If it's a Devin Haney, a Kambosos, I don't know what's up with Teofimo Lopez with his like medical condition. If he's even gonna be at 135, but if it's Tank Davis, Ryan Garcia,
we have to see at least one fight between one of those five guys. Like
absolutely.
That has to happen.
I'm sure Kambosos is gonna fight one of those guys next.
Yeah, that's what he was saying. You know, he was on. I'll tell you, he was on GRE, and that's what he was saying. He said he wants to fight all those guys. He said he wants to fight Tank. He wants to fight Haney. You know what I mean? So.
I'm kind of worried about his. I mean,
who?
I know Kambosos wants to fight in Australia, like for obvious reasons. That's where he's from. He wants to fight in his home. But like, the last time we saw a big fight in Australia was with Jeff Horn and Manny Pacquiao, and Jeff Horn won that fight. Like, you know what I mean? So I don't know.
Yeah, that was a really bad decision.
If excuse me, if I don't know, fair warning to whoever fights Kambosos in Australia.
Yeah.
You better get that knockout if you want to win, or at least solidify some knockdowns to ensure that you win some rounds. Bars.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, but Loma gets the dominant victory. Conor Benn gets a spectacular knockout. Katie Taylor remains undefeated and undisputed.
What did you think of some of the shit that Loma was doing, like in the 7th round? He had him hurt. He was kind of pointing to Comey's corner, telling them to stop the fight.
Yeah. He was just, he's like, cocky, man.
Yeah, was it like him trolling, him being cocky?
Loma cocky as shit.
Was he being real? Like,
I remember when, and then like a round or two later, was it Tim Bradley? He said he was being humane.
Yeah.
He was like he was showing compassion and being humane. I said no, he wasn't. He was taunting.
Yeah.
He was talking shit. You made my ass, man. Yeah, I mean that's Loma. He has those tricks where, if he makes you miss, like he's the guy that I think of the most. Where like if he makes you miss, he'll look at the audience like he's looking for your punch. Like he missed that, or some of his other, like the bull, like
Matador shit.
The Matador shit. Yeah.
Yeah, his movement's crazy, man. He seems like he takes one step and he's on the other fucking side of you.
His footwork is amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, he might have the best footwork I've seen.
It was just so smooth.
Yeah.
He just moving around at will. Yeah, it was crazy.
And late in after like the UFC and everything, Showtime had a card. I mean, that was when their main event was airing. I didn't get to watch it. I'm gonna have to catch the replay. But Nonito Donaire knocks out Raymar Cabal in the 4th round. Donaire's like 39, bro.
Nice.
Filipino. You know what I mean? He's a WBC bantamweight title champion. So yeah, 4th round knockout. He had a very fun, compelling, close bout with Neal Inoue, who fights in like 2 days, on Tuesday. So yeah, I would love to see a rematch between them two, provided that Neal Inoue, the monster, wins this fight, which he should.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, that's that. That's pretty much all I got for boxing.
Word. We had the big UFC card.
Yes.
Last one of the year. I didn't realize it was last one of the year, so they kept saying it over and over again. 269. Dustin Poirier and Charles Oliveira, and then the co-main was Amanda Nunes and Pena. We ended up getting both predictions right. Man. That was pretty crazy.
Yeah, we've been calling this shit, man. What's up?
I know, right? Like,
called for the upset,
I don't usually put money down. I feel like the one time I do is when I'm going to be wrong.
Well, we told y'all to put money on. We told y'all just to put a couple dollars on Juliana Pena. And
yeah, that would have been enough.
If y'all put like $100, y'all would have got like $600, $650 or something like that. Yeah. So Yeah, man,
maybe even more. Like if they would have had like a specific like by submission bets
Oh
and
yeah,
shit.
yeah.
Like,
If you would have put specifically by knockout, yeah, yeah, you know how that is, man. The more
yeah.
specific you get, the more. Yeah, man. But let's go through this card. This was a crazy night.
Yeah, it was a good card all the way around. So to start with the prelims, the first prelim was a middleweight bout. Jordan Wright, he's 12-2. He's was a pretty high prospect coming in. I know they're talking really highly about this guy, expecting a lot of good things in his career. He was taking on Bruno Silva. I've never seen him fight, but it looks like he's been around for a while, judging off his record, 22-6. Jordan Wright came out and took it right to him, man. It was like all in his face, throwing punches, was catching him, didn't seem to hurt him. Jordan Wright had him clinched up against the cage, and then on the break, he gets caught with like I think a right hook, gets hurt right away. Does a little chicken dance backwards. Silva goes right at him and drops him a couple times. Herb D, gives him all the chance in the world. He's fucking rolling around on the ground
for no reason.
Yeah, he's not defending himself, but he's like rolling around. I guess that's the only argument. But yeah, he's just landing clean headshots the whole time. Gets the first round stoppage. Big win for Bruno Silva. I'm not sure how old he is, but it's kind of sucks for Jordan Wright. They were talking, they were all like, hyping him up. Second fight was a heavyweight fight. Augusto Sakai versus Tai Tuivasa.
Yeah, that's when I started watching.
Yeah, Tai Tuivasa, he's like a fan favorite. Everybody loves this guy. He's fun to watch. He's coming off like three big knockouts, all wins by knockouts.
Yeah.
The last one was Greg Hardy we saw.
Yep.
Which that was a crazy knockout. Just seeing the size difference, like Tai Tuivasa is not very tall. He's big, but he's not.
Yeah, he's
not super tall. And Greg Hardy's a massive man. Like the way he hit him and made him go stiff like that, like such a big guy.
Yeah.
That shit was crazy. And he does it again, man. Second round, first round's kind of boring. Nothing really happened. Filling each other out. Second round, Tai Tuivasa started letting go. He caught Sakai. He hurt him. And then he hit him with, hit him with a flurry of punches. And then I think it was like finally a right hand that just folded him.
Yeah.
Like his body just like folded in half, just dropped straight down.
Yeah, man. I saw they were very quick with the memes, man. It was.
Yeah.
It was bad.
It was crazy. It was fucked up, but yeah. But yeah, I was surprised that he was on the prelim. He's
right. Yeah, I said the same thing.
Because I'm pretty sure he was on the main card before, and he has 3 wins in a row, so didn't make too much sense. But I think that just kind of shows how stacked the card was. Because even the next fight, you could say the same thing.
Right.
Which this ended up getting fight of the night from Dana White, Pedro Munoz and Dominic Cruz.
Oh yeah.
Top bantamweights going at it. Dominic Cruz, former 2-time champ. He had a pretty bad, I think it was back injury, and he was out for a while. He came back, when he lost to Henry Cejudo. He had the title shot right away. Probably wasn't ready for that. Probably wasn't a good idea.
Yeah.
But he always says that was an early stoppage, which now with this, after this fight, that argument makes a lot more sense now.
Yeah.
Was it the first round that Pedro Munoz really caught him twice, right? Like dropped him 2 times. Yeah. Really had Dominic Cruz in a lot of trouble. And yeah, like it didn't look good for Cruz at all. And second round, Cruz adjusts a little bit, and he works. He's known for his really awkward, unorthodox movement. Like his footwork is, some people would say, a little too much. Like
yeah.
But man, like the way he throws punches, like they come from like awkward angles. Like he does that thing where he like bends, he'll like bend straight down and throw like a crazy overhand right, and he always lands it with like the side of his fist. Like it's crazy the way it lands. But yeah, Cruz really he really came back strong in that second round, and I would say won the second round pretty easy. He was definitely touching up Munoz a lot. I don't think he hurt him. I don't think Cruz got the power like he used to anymore, but definitely piecing him up. Third round, same thing, and Cruz ends up getting the win by decision.
Do you think that first round could have been a 10-8 for Pedro Munoz?
I don't know. I guess it depends because he did get dropped a couple times, but I feel like Cruz was landing as well. He just wasn't hurting him.
That's true.
It's not like he wasn't landing. It's just that when it was one of those power difference things that when Munoz landed, it was made a lot more impact. But maybe I guess.
I mean, Cruz definitely deserved. If anybody deserved to win this fight, it was certainly Cruz. I'm just.
Yeah, like Joe Rogan said in the post conference, in the post interview thing, that was definitely vintage Dominic Cruz. Like, besides the wrestling, because he's also known for mixing the wrestling a lot, which he tried, but he couldn't get Munoz down at all.
True. Yeah.
But yeah, that was a really good win for him, man. He's still ranked, I think, in the top 15. So, he moves up. A lot of good fights in that bantamweight division, man. Pedro Munoz is kind of a tough loss for him. He had another tough loss against his last fight against Jose Aldo.
Yeah,
that was another tough one. But yeah, I mean, Pedro Munoz he's been in that top 10 for a really long time. So that just shows, like, he's fought all those guys. It just shows that he definitely deserves to be up there. Just hasn't been able to break through. And then the last one was Josh Emmett versus Dan 50K Ige. Featherweight fight. Both guys coming up in featherweight. Both guys exciting to watch. Josh Emmett got, crazy one-punch knockout power. He's got, like, some crazy knockout highlights. Ige does, too. That's why his nickname is 50K Ige.
Mm-hmm.
It was a good fight. I think it was the first round that Ige seemed to have... No, maybe it was the second round. I think that he hurt Josh Emmett in the second round and was patient. Didn't get the finish. Was patient with it. Didn't, rush in. Because I think that's been his problem before. He'll rush in and get knocked out and get hurt. Josh Emmett ends up getting the decision win. I think they got that one wrong, man. I think Ige won that fight. I think Ige definitely won that fight. I think he had him hurt. Josh Emmett definitely got the power. He definitely had the power advantage. But I think Ige did. I think he did better.
Yeah, I didn't. I don't think I was watching that fight. I think I was focused on something on the Top Rank card, but
yeah, it was pretty good. This might have been not yet actually. All right, but yeah, that was a prelim. That was the prelims. First fight on the main card, we had Sean O'Malley making his return. Starting off the card, taking on Brazilian Raulian Paiva. This guy's a Brazilian black belt, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. 21-4, so he's not a rookie either. He's been around. They were saying that this is O'Malley's toughest matchup, but they say that every time, obviously.
Yeah.
I think this was more of a test for Raulian than it was for O'Malley. But yeah, O'Malley came out and you look, his usual stuff, man. Really fast, really sharp. Paiva seemed really tough. He seemed really tough the first couple minutes, and then O'Malley gets him, man. He lands one of those big power right hands, hurts him, almost drops him. Hits him with a flurry of punches. Paiva covers up. I think he hits him with like a nasty left hook to the body, and he drops his hands and then hits him with another right and just fucking drops him.
Yeah, it was bad.
Yeah, it was pretty bad.
I think we posted that, right? We posted the video.
Yep, we posted that one. So yeah, O'Malley moves on, 15-1. Yeah, man.
So you see him fighting somebody like a ranked opponent next?
I sure do hope so. Even though I honestly don't think so, because he said recently that he has 2 more fights on his contract, and his whole thing was about that he feels that he doesn't get paid enough to fight ranked opponents yet.
Yeah.
And I guess that's how it works. So you sign like they sign like a 5-fight contract or whatever. You're gonna get paid the same for all those fights.
Yeah.
So I think after these 2 fights on his contract, then he'll start. He'll probably get a pay increase and he'll probably start taking on ranked opponents. But I understand why. Like the only reason I hate on Sean O'Malley is because he always says that he's undefeated, even though Cheeto beat him. Yeah. I actually fucking entertained some trolls on the internet the other day when they were saying something about O'Malley. Like the O'Malley fanboys are like, oh my god, dude, they really believe he's undefeated because he says that. And they were saying something about Cheeto, and I was like, yeah, or they said that O'Malley hasn't fought a ranked opponent yet. And I was like, well, he did one time, and he got knocked out. That's when he fought Cheeto, because Cheeto was ranked like 15th or something at the time. And then the guy was like, oh, no. He was like, he commented back. He's like, you must have not watched the fight, bro. He's like, O'Malley's foot got hurt, and that's why he lost. And I was like, yeah. So I was like, yeah, I watched Cheeto Vera beat Sean O'Malley. Like, that's what happened. I don't know what the fuck you're talking about.
Yeah.
And it was just funny. And then he said some other crazy shit, and I just left it at that.
Yeah, I get it. I get a kick out of entertaining the trolls. The funny thing is, like, Sean Malley's a troll. Like,
yeah, he's a fucking king of it, man. This guy's a fucking. I think they said that he's like the biggest, or he said he's like the only like unranked fighter that's a millionaire.
Wow.
Because he makes so much money on social media. And he's like a gamer, so he's always like streaming on Twitch and shit.
Oh, okay.
And that supposedly is like where people are making crazy money now.
Oh,
like,
yeah, that's a whole nother conversation. But
Yeah.
yeah. Hell
So,
yeah.
but I understand. But I completely understand because the UFC has made the mistake of throwing these like these kids that you can tell are going to be superstars. Sean O'Malley is going to be a superstar most likely, and they've made the mistake of throwing him to the wolves too early. Like they've done it with like Darren Till, where Darren Till has so much hype behind him, and then they threw him in title shot with Tyron Woodley. Oh fuck it, next throw him with fucking Masvidal. I mean he got knocked out in both those fights.
Right.
And now he's like had to go up and wait and shit. They did the same thing with Yair Rodriguez. Like I mentioned it before. Like they put Yair up against Frankie Edgar like back in the day when Frankie Edgar was still like Frankie Edgar.
Yeah.
And Frankie fucking gave him a beating that that kind of fucking took a lot out of Yair. Like that's another guy they should have built him up slowly. He could have been a way bigger fighter right now.
Yeah, man, and that's why I always say, like, that's why I don't knock like fighters sometimes, especially in boxing, that they take on these lighter touches because you never know, man. You got to see where you at.
Yeah.
Because when you, especially in today's world with like social media and shit, bro, when you lose, like, you take a real hefty step back, bro. It ain't no, okay, next season it's like you're in the back of the line and you might have to fight a whole lot more just to get that opportunity again. So you don't want to like you said rush it, and I've seen it in boxing plenty times, bro.
Yeah.
Like, people want to say, nah, I want to fight the best right away, and that ends up being bad,
Yeah, for sure.
Ruining their career short. Yeah, but yeah, man, I mean, good win by Sean O'Malley regardless.
Yeah, he said at the end he told Joe that he had like a rib injury or something and that he couldn't spar the last couple weeks or something. He couldn't spar. He could just run, I guess. So that might explain why he wasn't throwing as many kicks, because we did notice that while we were watching the fight.
Yeah.
He seemed a little reserved with the kicks. He usually loves to throw some crazy spinning kicks and wheel kicks, all kinds of shit.
Yeah, he was all upper body striking.
Yeah, he wasn't throwing as many kicks. It was interesting. But yeah, man, that was a big win for him. Like I said, I can totally understand why they're building him up like that. He was actually supposed to fight, or he had called out in his last fight. He had called out Cody Garbrandt, who was fighting in the next fight. It was funny because I watched the press conference for this fight on Friday, and Sean O'Malley and Cody Garbrandt were talking shit on each other like they were the ones fighting. Like if you would have watched the press conference, you would have thought they were the ones fighting because nobody asked anything.
Yeah.
Nobody asked Paiva a question. Nobody asked Kai Kara-France a question. But you would have thought it was them two fighting. They were going at it. I think at one point they both got up and like had to get held back by security. It was funny. But Cody Garbrandt chose to go down in weight. He went down to 125, where he took on Kai Kara-France, fighter out of Australia, real tough kid. I think he's ranked like 6th or something. They were saying this is gonna be basically a title eliminator because Cody Garbrandt was pretty much like promised a title shot. I think like last year or 2 years ago, and then he caught COVID. He was pretty much promised a flyweight title shot before he went down.
Right.
But he caught COVID. He had another fight at 135 with Rob Font. Rob Font destroyed him, and then he went down to 125. Some people were questioning, why or how, but I think it was a good move for him. He is a smaller bantamweight, so it's not like he's very big. Like, you could tell the difference. Like, TJ Dillashaw, like when he went down to 125, like he looked like a skeleton. He looked dead. Like if you look at the pictures when he weighed in, he looked really bad. Like that's probably the worst I've ever seen a fighter look. And yeah, Cody didn't look bad at all. He looked good. You know what I mean? He was definitely a favorite to win this fight. And fight started, and Kai Kara-France, right away you could see the size difference. He's a short guy. He's like, I think they said 5'4" or something.
Yeah.
But he somehow had a crazy reach advantage.
Crazy reach.
Like it was wild, and then it definitely showed, man. He was landing early on Garbrandt, and I think it was a right hand that he hit him with a big right hand. Just he fucking knocked him right down. Garbrandt pops back up. Then he drops him again. Garbrandt still, survives. He's even like calling him on for more, like after he knocks him down a couple times. And he goes for the takedown. I think he gets the takedown, but Kai Kara-France able to get back up. And then, just hits him with another fury and drops him again, and then it's finally stopped. He looked really good, man. That Kai Kara-France guy looked real good.
Yeah, man. You think Cody had O'Malley on his mind, and you think he was a little lacking focus there?
I think so, man. Like Sean O'Malley was saying, because Dominic Cruz is another guy that O'Malley had called out, and this whole week O'Malley was basically saying that both these guys chose not to fight him on this card. He was pretty much saying that Cody Garbrandt or Dominic Cruz could have fought me on this card, but they chose not to. I definitely think so. And O'Malley was saying some shit that I think was hitting him in the soul. He was like, you're one fight away. He was telling Garbrandt, you're one fight away from being next to Dominic Cruz in the commentary booth, and like Garbrandt didn't say much after that. And I think he was thinking like, damn, you might be right.
Where do you think he goes from there?
Yeah, man, this is a tough loss for him because like, this is almost like this was supposed to be like a game changer for him, like almost like a rebirth. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Coming down to 125, getting a fresh start. I'm sure he was planning on winning this fight and then hopefully getting the title shot. But yeah, man, that's gonna be a hard one for him to swallow. So I'm not sure if he goes back up. I think now might be a good time to fight Sean O'Malley. After that loss, I'm sure O'Malley will still do it. That fight will still be hyped up because they both talk a lot of shit.
And what weight would that be in?
I think he would go up. I think Garbrandt would go back up to 135.
135.
Yeah, to bantamweight. Because, I think the O'Malley fight could be a big, that he would still probably be on a main card for that fight.
Yeah.
And then other than that, yeah, I don't think he becomes champ again.
Yeah, when a fighter moves down and then gets knocked out like that, weight drain could be the issue. Again, having O'Malley on his mind could be the issue.
Yeah.
And getting caught slipping, of course, but
Garbrandt's had a hell of a career, man. He was champ for a while, and he's gave us some really entertaining fights. So, he's had a good career. The next fight was a welterweight fight: Jeff Neal versus Santiago Ponzinibbio. Ponzinibbio, Argentinian fighter. Jeff Neal, 14-4. He's been he's been coming up the rankings in welterweight. Ponzinibbio is a veteran. He had like some kind of medical issue that he was unable to fight for a while, and then he came back I think last year and has got like 2 or 3 wins. So I was rooting for him. This is probably the fight we watched the least, honestly, because this is during the Loma fight, basically.
Fight, yeah, I was tuned in.
And the Loma fight was so much more entertaining. This is probably the least entertaining fight on the card. Jeff Neal gets the win by decision. I really didn't see any big significant strikes, but both guys looked like they were both touched up, like both were bleeding and shit.
Click on that, Joe?
On what?
Click on that fight.
This?
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's no knockdowns.
No knockdowns.
No
yeah.
Takedowns.
Yeah, so numbers-wise, Jeff Neal definitely won numbers-wise, but it wasn't too far off.
So it was like a glorified sparring match.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, I saw a couple highlights. Jeff Neal landed like a couple big head kicks and stuff, but nothing crazy. Neither fighter seemed to be hurt at any point. And then right into the co-main, man. Amanda Nunes versus Julia Pena for the bantamweight fight.
The return of the Lioness.
Holy shit, this was crazy.
We let's go backwards, man. Last episode, man, we were saying if when fighters coming back from COVID, there's a lot of parallels, man. Fighters coming back from COVID, fighters having a pretty long layoff. It's a pretty long layoff.
Having long layoff and like having a lot of success.
A lot of success, right? And also family and have entering a child into your life.
She just seems so happy in her life right now. Like I mean,
very civilized and that's not what you want to be when you're a fighter, man.
Yeah.
Especially coming into the fight with your kids, the way she did, and there was just a lot of things.
She had her everywhere. She had her in the weigh-ins. She had her daughter everywhere.
And that's why I said, obviously, there's a level of skills and things of that nature. But I said, man, if there was ever a time for an upset, now's the time
for sure.
So let's talk about this co-main.
Yeah, man. So Julia Pena huge underdog, one of the biggest underdogs in probably UFC history.
Yeah.
Man, she, the whole week she was saying she was going to bring the fight to Amanda. She was going to get in her face and she was going to stand there. She wasn't going to move backwards. And she was saying she was going to drag the fight out into the later rounds and submit her. And it didn't even, she lived up to her word, but she did it a lot quicker than she even thought.
Oh, yeah.
Man, it was super impressive. The first round, they were both kind of filling each other out. Not much really happened. Amanda's, seemed very patient. Wasn't, I don't think she threw her right hand in the first round. And then towards the end of the first round, Julia Pena goes for her takedown. She gets Amanda down for a second. Amanda's able to, pretty much reverse the position. Gets on top of Julia Pena. And ends the round on top. Pena does have her in a little bit of trouble with the Kimura. Like from the bottom, she has her one arm trapped. But Amanda was able to, stay safe and survive the round. But you could see a little bit of concern on Amanda's face when she had her arm. Like she definitely was fully aware that, she had a possible Kimura attempt. Yeah. So, but that's the type of fight that Pena wants. She wants to be on the ground, even if she's on the bottom.
Yeah.
She wants to be on the ground. She wants to take her into deep water. I think she knows that, her cardio could be a factor. Amanda's cardio. And then second round starts, and man, Julia Pena just starts landing her jab over and over again, and it seems to freeze like Amanda a couple times.
Yeah, just the fact that she was the one that was willing to engage in like the stand up striking, that was insane.
And even then, Amanda was showing her no respect, like just kind of smirking and still like moving forward and getting hit, like showing her no respect. Really,
but you could see. It's funny that you point that out because like you could see the smirk just like going like more concerned, like just a more concerned face, and oh man,
she just kept sticking her. Like there was a point where she landed like 3 in a row where she was like jab jab jab, like,
and she was landing the right hand, bro, and they both were. Like I was surprised at the shots that Pena was eating, bro.
Yeah,
like I was like, damn, bro, it was really her night, man.
And she hit her hard, like she Amanda swole up Pena's face from those right hands. But it was almost like by the time Amanda started throwing the right hand, she was already kind of hurt. She was already compromised. You know what I mean? And it was just like it's really like she got hurt from the jab, landing the jab so many times.
Mm-hmm.
I remember you asked me, you're like, is she bleeding? And I was like, oh shit, like that she was getting really hurt by that jab.
That was in the beginning too.
And then yeah, man. And then she started landing the right hand. She really hurt her, had her in a lot of trouble. Like, it's crazy how well how she just, outboxed her basically on the feet. And it wasn't pretty. It wasn't pretty, but she did it. And, gets Amanda super tired, really hurt. Amanda just keeps going forward. She's trying to land that, that right hand. But at that point, it's just too slow. She throws that right hand and, Pena's landing 2 punches, before she lands that big overhand. Gets her really tired, gets her against the cage. Takes her down super easy. You could tell Amanda's exhausted by then.
Exhausted, yeah.
Super exhausted. She just pulls her down. Even before she gets on her back, she already has her arm under her neck, like right away. And she jumps on her back, locks in the choke, and Amanda taps right away.
Crazy. That was like the most telegraphed submission attempt I've ever seen.
Yeah.
And that just goes to show how tired.
Yeah, Amanda was. She didn't defend it at all. Like,
Yeah.
She didn't defend it at all. She, like I said, she had her arm under the neck like right away, and it's just, it was wild.
That's that post-COVID shit, man. It takes your stamina.
Yeah.
Seemingly, like
That's been the issue. That's been the issue with a lot of fighters. Yeah, it's been making them question their whole career whether they can even fight again, like the way they feel in training and shit. But yeah, man. So she gets a second round submission. It was really wild. She shook up the world. She even, she had the little moment with Joe, and he's like, "You shook up the world," and she's like, "I'm not surprised, motherfuckers."
Yeah, who that was
Nate Diaz.
Nate Diaz.
When he beat Conor the first time, he's like, "Nate Diaz, you shook up the world," and he's like, "I'm not surprised, motherfuckers." That shit was crazy.
Yeah, that's not quite what Ali said. But.
Yeah, but yeah, Amanda Nunes, showed a lot of good sportsmanship, and was happy for her and had no excuses. Just said she gotta go back into the gym and work on some things. Yeah, she just seemed a little unprepared, and like I said, showed her no respect on the feet. She had no head movement. Like, she was able to land the jab so easily over and over again because Amanda was just standing there.
Mm-hmm.
She wasn't moving at all. Yeah, it was wild. It was wild.
Yeah, crazy. It's crazy that there was another fight too. That could have been the main event right there.
Yeah, for
Just
real.
with the drama, man.
Word.
So do you see like well, first off, do you see like an immediate rematch, and do you see like Pena beating her again? Because I honestly don't.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I guess it depends. I mean, I think Amanda definitely deserves the rematch right away. She didn't seem, she obviously didn't. She didn't say it that she wanted that right away. But I think she gets. I think she does get it. But yeah, like if she goes back into the gym and uses this as motivation and works on what she needs to work on, and now she knows. I mean, she said she wasn't surprised. Like in the post fight when she spoke to Joe, she was like, Joe was like, "Are you surprised that how she was landing her boxing and all this stuff?" And she was like, "No, honestly, I wasn't surprised." She was like, "I knew that she was a warrior. I knew she was a good fighter." She's like, she just got, she just won. But
Humility.
yeah, for sure. But I think she definitely underprepared a little bit.
Yeah.
I mean, physically she looked good. That's why, like, in the weigh-ins, because I also questioned that a little bit. Like, I wonder how she does cutting down to 135. She hasn't made that cut in like 2 years. I think 2019 was the last time she fought at bantamweight.
Oh wow. Yeah. So I think yeah. I mean, if it's a thing of like, again, with the layoff and the COVID and all that stuff, then I can definitely see her taking a rematch and beating her.
Yeah.
And beating Pena.
If she works on the stand up, her movement and her cardio, because in the first round when they got on the ground, Amanda showed that she's stronger. She can, she that reversal she pulled on her showed that she could handle her on the ground. So if she works on those things, the fight should be the way everybody thought it was gonna be. Everybody thought it was gonna be a really really easy fight for Amanda.
Mm-hmm.
But man, she did her thing. But I'm happy for her. She definitely deserved it. She has a great story.
Yeah, and nonetheless, man, shout out to Juliana Pena, man, because she did her thing.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, man. So, yeah, that was a.
And obviously, Amanda's she's still the featherweight champ.
Oh, right.
At 145. But this does kind of fuck up the possibility of that super fight with Kayla Harrison, who was in the building. She was in the building because she was, having conversations with UFC this week, and I saw them ask Dana White about it. He said, we're talking and it's going well. That was before this fight, obviously, and then after it, they asked Dana White, and he was like, yeah, that's the thing about the sport. He's like, things could change so fast. Like, he was like, if Amanda wins tonight, that fight with Kayla Harrison is the biggest fight in women's MMA history.
Yeah,
if they make it, and
absolutely.
now, I mean, they can still make it because obviously Amanda would fight Kayla Harrison at 145 because I think Harrison fights at 155 in PFL. So she would have to come down unless I doubt Amanda would go up more. But yeah, that kind of takes away the excitement of that fight. I wonder if Amanda keeps defending both. She can really do whatever she wants though. That's she's in a position now where I'm sure her and her family are set and.
Yeah, well, that was the other thing that I had on my mind. I mean, could it have been? It could have been like the whole COVID thing that I said, or it could have been like maybe she might be.
Yeah, she might be
mentally
past.
checked out.
Yeah.
She got the family. She got the, her legacy cemented.
Yep, I'm sure she made a lot of money.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah. On to the main event. Dustin Poirier challenging Charles Oliveira for the lightweight title. Charles Oliveira first title defense. You know what I mean? They always say you're not a real champ until you defend.
Right.
So this was a big test for him. Dustin Poirier, one of the most well-rounded lightweights right now. Ranked number 1 obviously for a good reason. Beat Conor twice. But man, this was a tough fight for Dustin.
Both guys.
Yeah, for sure. And Charles Oliveira for a little bit was kind of known for like. Kind of quitting a little bit on, in fights and shit. Like, he's been in, both guys, they have similar stories. They've both been in the UFC like 10 plus years. So Charles Oliveira had a couple bad losses where people say that he kind of gave up, and they were saying that, his will had been broken in fights before multiple times. But, this guy has put together an amazing winning streak. He holds the UFC record for most UFC finishes, 18 finishes, and most UFC, submissions, 15 submissions,
wow.
Including this one. He ends up getting the third round submission on Dustin, and it was similar to the Chandler fight where he faces a lot of adversity in that first round, man. It really seemed for a minute like Dazn was gonna get him out of there in that first round.
Yeah, he was landing some hard shots.
Yeah, like even though I had predicted the submission, I was saying like the whole walkout, I was saying, man, Dazn could very easily end this fight in the first round, like just with his power. And it was pretty even. Like Charles is no slouch in striking, even though he's a jiu-jitsu guy. Like his striking is super technical. He always has his hands up. Always keeps his hands up. Throws all kinds of punches and does really well mixing it in with the elbows and kicks, body punches. So both guys were landing pretty well. You could just tell the power difference, man. Poirier was really hurting him. Charles Oliveira was landing some nasty body shots though. Like whenever they clinched up, he would hit Poirier with nasty knees to the stomach.
Yeah, and front kicks too.
Yeah, and then the front kicks to the stomach really seemed to be bothering him. Like every time he landed that front kick, like right to the liver, you could see Poirier kind of like had to like readjust himself. Like that shit really bothered him. But yeah, Poirier hurts him, man. He drops him. I think he drops him like twice, right? He drops him like twice. Isn't able to get the finish. Oliveira survives.
Yeah, he lets him get up.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Because he knocks him down. He kind of gets on top of him for a second and then just gets up and makes him stand up. Yeah. And Oliveira survives, man, and he doesn't stop moving forward. Like, I really thought he was going to get finished because he was getting hit big and kept moving forward. But he was also catching Dazn, man. It wasn't as powerful, but he was definitely touching him up and definitely hurting him. And like I said, those body shots seemed to really be affecting Dazn. He was taking deep breaths by the end of the first. You could see him taking some real deep breaths. So yeah, it wasn't looking good for Oliveira again in that first round. Second round, Oliveira gets one of his classic takedowns pretty early. He always gets takedowns, like he never goes for legs. He always goes like upper body and just like, uses leverage and drags guys down.
Yeah.
It's pretty crazy to see how he does it, 'cause he doesn't look like a very strong guy. And Dazn looks bigger. So he's able to get him down and gets him right in the middle of the octagon and has him on the ground in full mount. No, not full mount, full guard. And Dazn doesn't like just accepts the position and like isn't trying to get up at all. Like is keeping his guard closed, which means he's keeping his legs locked. Pretty much they're saying like when you have your legs locked like that, you're not doing anything offensive from the ground. You know what I mean? You're basically just in a defensive position, just trying to survive.
Yeah.
So a lot the Joe Rogan and DC were kind of talking about that a little bit. They were assuming or suspecting that maybe Poirier was hurt to the body because he wasn't making any effort to try to get up. But I guess I'm not too surprised because Poirier was talking a lot in this week about saying how like he has to be really careful in those transitions on the ground, because he said that's how he feel he got caught with Khabib, like trying to scramble and then him just grab his neck. You know what I mean? That's all it takes. Like that's how it happens a lot of times in those scrambles.
Right.
You end up in a weird position and they just fucking grab your neck or grab an arm. And it almost happens. I think he almost gets an arm at one point, but Poirier survives on the ground. And that's exactly the fight that Oliveira wants. You know what I mean? He wins the second round for sure. Just being on top, dominant position the whole time. Is landing a lot of nasty elbows.
Yeah.
A lot of nasty elbows. I was surprised Dazn didn't get cut at all. And he seemed to take him well. Honestly, like after the round, he didn't seem to be hurt. But some real nasty elbows from Oliveira. Third round, he gets almost exact. It looks like he's going for the same takedown, except this time he goes for the back. And those jiu-jitsu guys, like the way they could just like use the cage and just get on your back like out of nowhere. And then I don't know if Dazn did the right thing defending. He seemed to just like bend straight down. I don't know if that was the best thing to do. It didn't look like it. Oliveira jumps on his back and gets a standing rear naked choke, which is pretty much like his signature move. And, he fights him. Like, once a guy like that has your back, it's just a matter of time. Like, Dustin's defending, he's fighting the hands. And it takes Oliveira maybe like 3 or 4 times to try to get his arm underneath his chin. But as soon as he gets it, you see it right away. And, Dustin has no choice but to tap or go to sleep. And, he taps out. And Oliveira keeps the belt, man. It was a very, very impressive win by him. I think it's time to stop talking about that the old consensus on him that he was a quitter or that whatever. Like he definitely showed that he has become a new person, and
he had to eat a lot of nasty shots, especially in that first round.
Fuck yeah, and that's what he said in the when Joe was talking to him. He was like, yeah, man. He's like, these guys hit me. He said they hit me hard, but I keep moving forward, and it was true, man. The way he was moving forward, I thought he was just gonna walk in to get it knocked out.
So So what's up with Dustin? Where does he go from there?
I think I mean it sucks, man. It's like heartbreaking for Dustin. Like
Yeah.
Dustin's always really emotional in his losses, even in his wins too. But
Yeah.
in the post fight thing, it was a little hard to watch. He was like really emotional. He's like, this is really heartbreaking. He felt like the last thing he needed to do in his career was become unified champ, or not unified, undisputed.
Oh, okay.
Because he had like an interim belt before.
Gotcha.
So yeah, I don't know. I mean, he's still at the top, man. He's one of the best. He's probably the second best lightweight in the world. He beat Gaethje. He beat a lot of those other guys. It's gonna be tough for him, man. I think maybe going up. He's talked about that. He's expressed wanting to go up to 170. So maybe that's the move for him. Maybe that's the move for him.
Yeah, we'll see.
He's had a great career, man, and this also could set up another Conor fight if Conor really wants to get that back. Now that can definitely happen now.
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of tired of Conor.
Yeah,
I'd rather see him go against Nate Diaz.
Yeah, that's the other one they were talking about after this fight. Nate and Conor were kind of going back and forth, and I think that's the most likely fight for Nate Diaz because he only has one more fight on his contract, so I'm sure the UFC wants to make it a big ass fight. They want to make it as big as possible, and I'm sure Nate wants to make it as big as possible. So. That'll be that's really the biggest fight for both of them guys. That's a tough fight for Conor though, man. Like that's no walk, you know what I mean? That's no walk in the park.
Of course
like,
not.
That's like a fight that he knows is gonna go the distance. He knows he has to have a cardio for 5 rounds.
Yeah.
He knows that if he gets tired at the end, he's gonna go to sleep. He's gonna get choked out.
Now, let me ask you this. Like, I'm asking because of the, very impressed by the groundwork from Charles Oliveira.
Yeah.
How do you think he'd match up if he fought Khabib? You think like if Khabib was around, like
would Oliveira be champ, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I think that would have been a really good fight, man. I think, I always thought that Tony Ferguson could have been the one to beat Khabib, and then watching Charles Oliveira manhandle Tony Ferguson was super impressive. So I think if anybody could have beat Khabib, it might have been him, man. He's real slick on the ground. He's not on his back. Oliveira's not on his back a lot on the ground, so that would be interesting to see how, like, if Khabib got him down.
Yeah.
But he's way more dangerous off his back than I think anybody else. That was always the argument with Tony Ferguson. But who knows? And also, Khabib always credits Oliveira as like the top guy. He, like, whenever they would ask him about the top lightweights, Dustin, Gaethje, and Oliveira, Khabib himself would always say that he thinks Oliveira was the best one out of all of them.
Oh, okay.
So yeah.
So there's that respect.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Just because of groundwork, I'm sure. And he got the most submissions, man. That's legendary shit. Every time he gets a submission, he's making history.
Yeah.
And then Justin Gaethje is most likely going to be the next one. Dustin Poirier had to beat Gaethje. We've seen Gaethje get hurt in fights. Honestly, I think Charles Oliveira beats Gaethje too. Especially after showing that chin he got.
Yeah.
Like, Gaethje hits hard. I don't know if he hits harder than Poirier. He got definitely better leg kicks. Dustin does have leg kicks, but Gaethje's are a little more, I think, are better.
Yeah.
And then that lightweight division stacked, man. Conor's still there. What's his name? Michael Chandler's still there. Michael Chandler was tweeting after this saying, he wants to fight Oliveira again or fight Gaethje again. They had possible fight of the year. That might be my fight of the year, the Gaethje and Chandler fight.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, great card. Happy for Oliveira. Man, he's a beast, man. He's a beast on the ground.
Yeah, shout out to him.
The adversity that he faced, and that was awesome. That was a hell of a fucking fight. It was a great pay-per-view to end the year.
Yeah. So what's next for the UFC? What you got like next week?
So the next fight, the 18th. This is next week, right?
Yeah.
We got Derek Lewis taking on Chris Daukaus. This is the fighter from Philly.
Okay. Yeah, I remember him.
Heavyweight. So this is his first like step up. Fighting some bigger competition. Obviously, Derek Lewis has fought for the belt, and he probably still ranked in the top 5 or so. So this should be a good fight. Stephen Wonderboy Thompson taking on Bilal Muhammad. This guy's pretty good. Bilal Muhammad's pretty good. He's one of those guys that just has had like some. He's fought all the top guys and has beat some top guys, but loses every couple fights as well.
Yeah.
Wonderboy, this guy's a super veteran, man. He's been around forever. I think he's yet to be champ though. He fought Woodley twice when Woodley was champ, and Woodley beat him both times. Angela Hill, Amanda Lemos, that should be a pretty good fight.
Damn, they still got Angela Hill in the roster.
Yeah, she's fun to watch, but yeah, she's lost a lot of fights.
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't think I remember seeing her win.
Yeah, she hasn't won in a little while.
So that's it for the year then, right?
Yeah, that's it for the year, and then they don't even have it on here, but UFC 270 is gonna be in January. Is gonna be Francis Ngannou and Cyril Gane.
Nice. That's the
big heavyweight fight.
Like 9th or something, right? Like
yeah, that's gonna be the unification because I believe Cyril Gane is the interim champ.
I think it's on the page. I think we posted it, right?
I think it's kind of fucked up how they did that interim belt, but whatever. And Ngannou, I don't think is gonna stick around too long, man. I think he fights out his contract and he bounces. He says he wants to go to boxing, get some boxing money.
Oh, that's a different one. Ngannou?
Yeah.
Man, come on, don't do that. You have a career. You have a real career in MMA, dude. Like, I mean, if he can do it, then he can do it. But
he wants to do it for the money. You know what I mean?
I don't like that.
Yeah, I mean, it sucks, but yeah.
That's a message to Dana White.
Well, I think he feels like they kind of did him dirty doing the interim belt so soon. You know what I mean? Like, it wasn't worthy of like an interim thing. It was almost just like a slap in the face to Ngannou, and that's kind of how he took it. So yeah, so that's that one, and then I believe the co-main on that is the flyweight belt, the trilogy with Brandon Moreno and Davison Figueiredo.
Nice.
Man, I think Moreno looks so good, and I think he definitely beats him again. Like especially in the last fight, the first one was a lot closer, but the second fight he beat him everywhere. He beat him on the feet, and I think he choked him out. I think that's how he won the fight. Beat him on the ground. Brandon Moreno looks unstoppable, and I would love to see him fight the guy that beat Cody Garbrandt, the Kai Kara France. I think that would be a really good fight. That kid looks really, really good, really exciting to watch. So that's exciting to see another flyweight in the mix because there's not a whole lot of flyweights. So yeah, that's gonna be a good card. And then the February card was just announced last night officially. Adesanya and Whitaker 2.
Yep.
February 12th, UFC 271. So yeah, man.
Good stuff.
A lot of stuff going to look forward to next year.
Word. Well, I got some boxing coming up actually pretty soon. I mentioned the monster, Neo Noe, taking on Aaron Diapin. That's on the 14th, so that'll be Tuesday. So whenever maybe tomorrow, by the time we upload this, by the time you hear it.
Oh damn.
And yeah, so that's a quick one. We definitely weren't gonna wait for that just to do the episode, but if you catch a show and you catch the fight, you know what I mean, we'll mention it in the next episode. Yeah. Friday we have I think I mentioned this as well. Artur Beterbiev taking on Marcus Brown for Beterbiev's titles at 175. That should be a good one. We got Marie-Eve Declaire taking on Cynthia Lozano for the vacant IBF Women's Junior Middleweight title on the undercard of that. So that'll be the day before the big anticipated showdown between YouTube sensation Jake Paul taking on former UFC fighter Tyron Woodley in a rematch.
Short notice. Yeah.
Yeah, short notice. It's crazy how quickly that fight came to be, or came, as we just got the word that Woodley would be replacing Tommy Fury. So
you think he really got injured?
I mean, I don't care.
Oh wait, I did see that video. Where, is it Tyson Fury that's like slamming a fucking medicine ball into his rib or something?
Is that what it was?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I don't think that's where they're saying the injury came from, but people are talking about that now because there was a video that Tyson Fury was like standing over top of him. Tommy Fury was on the ground, and Tyson Fury is just slamming a medicine ball into his ribs, like
Well,
as hard
I've
as he
seen
can.
the video with, I think it was Fury's dad doing that to him.
Oh, then that's
And he
what it
was like, break a fucking rib. He kept saying, break a fucking rib. So that would be very, very ironic and slightly comedic if Tyson Fury broke his brother's rib.
Yeah, like what the fuck?
Maybe he did it on purpose. Maybe he was like, I don't think my brother could beat Jake Paul, so like I'm just gonna injure him so
Yeah.
he pulls out. I don't know.
I mean, they did tell him that they would disown him, right, if he lost.
Yeah, I mean, so that's probably a little bit better, right?
Yeah.
Yo, Amanda Serrano, I think I mentioned this as well on the undercard of that fight, co-main,
Yep.
taking on Miriam Gutierrez, and then of course we have some sideshow attraction with Deron Williams taking on Frank Gore. 4 rounds in the heavyweight division.
Former NBA player and former NFL player.
That is going to be really sad to watch. I'm telling you, man, that's like some Special Olympics type shit, bro. Like that's like
There's gonna be a lot of funny looking punches thrown,
it's
most
just
likely.
two giant men swinging on each other with no actual technique. Somebody's gonna get caught. Somebody's gonna get hurt.
Yeah, I wonder how much each of them, boxes, or I don't know.
Yeah, I mean that's a circus, So the circus will be in town next week.
Yep.
But if you want to watch some good heavyweight boxing, next week on Dazn, Joseph Parker, Derek Chisora, they're gonna rematch. It was a good close fight in the first bout. Some people thought that Derek Chisora should have won. I forget honestly how the fight went, so I can't really comment. I'm gonna have to watch it again. But they're gonna rematch on Dazn. That's gonna be a UK fight, I believe. So yeah, Manchester. Yeah, it's gonna be out there. And also on Dazn, Zito Ramirez. Taking on Unique C. Gonzalez. I don't know if I'm saying that right.
When's that, Friday?
Saturday. That'll be on Dazn.
Yeah, so there's a lot of fights on Saturday.
Yeah, and a lot of continuation. Oh, Sinisha Estrada taking on Maria Santizo. Estrada's a WBO champ in the junior flyweight. Women's and Lamont Roach Jr. taking on Renee Alvarado. It's a good card. Marlon Esparza on that card as well. That's actually
Nice.
pretty good card. I didn't realize how good that was gonna be. So yeah, I'll probably be tuned into that. But yeah, that's all on the 18th. So the combination of the 17th and the 18th. I'm not gonna make the same mistake of saying Friday and Saturday when it was Saturday and Sunday. It is Friday and Saturday this time.
Yeah.
Yeah, and obviously I got a lot more. We talked about the Keith Thurman possibly coming back late January to take on Mario Barrios. Luis Ortiz taking on Charles Martin. That'll be like basically January 1st, New Year's Day. Frank Sanchez, Carlos Negron on the co-main. Decent card. I was told it was pay-per-view, but it's not going to be like pay-per-view price. It's going to be like $30-$40. So I'm not complaining about that. And then continuing on this conversation at the 175-pound division, Joe Smith Jr. taking on Callum Johnson. That's going to be January 15th on ESPN Plus.
Nice.
And it's looking like that Savannah Marshall card, which is actually headlined by Chris Eubanks taking on Liam Williams. That's going to be on January 29th. She still doesn't have an opponent, according to ESPN. And if you remember, Clarissa Shields is going to be taking on Emma Cozen on that, setting up the potential fight, big women's fight between Clarissa Shields and Savannah Marshall. So,
yeah, I want to see that.
That's some good stuff there in the wonderful world of boxing.
Yep.
And speaking of the wonderful world of boxing, we had the 2022 Boxing Hall of Fame.
Yeah, a couple big names on there.
Couple good big names on there, yeah. So, who are these? Roy Jones Jr., Miguel Cotto, James Toney, Holly Holmes, and Regina Halmich.
Yep.
Those are just some of the names listed. But,
congrats to them.
Congrats to all of them.
All had pretty good careers.
It's always, yeah, man, especially, I mean, I was slightly on the tail end of the Roy Jones career. Same thing with James Toney, but Cotto, man, that's right up my alley.
Yeah, for sure.
Especially being a Puerto Rican and
hell yeah.
You know, that guy, man, you know, when you talk about people fighting, like, the best not fighting the best and boxers not taking chances, man, that you do not mention Miguel Cotto in that conversation. That guy fought them all. He's a warrior, win or lose. And, yeah, man, he always gave great fights.
Fuck yeah, man. One of the most exciting fighters to watch, like,
yeah,
for sure.
And Roy Jones and James Toney, they were just dominant on their own right, especially Roy Jones, man. You know, he always took these people. What did he say? I made him. I made him look average. They're they're not average. I just made him look average.
Yeah, I forget how
something
it goes.
of that line. Yeah, he made James Toney look not so great too, man. And we all know Holly Holmes, man. If you don't, man, she has a pretty extensive boxing
career,
kickboxing record.
Yep.
With like 40 fights. And you know, I think
that's why she has so much hype around her. When she came to UFC, she was like one of the first, I think, successful female boxers to make that transition to MMA.
Yeah, and I mean, you know, most notably, man, you know, her knocking out an seemingly unstoppable, undefeated Ronda Rousey.
Yeah,
the way she did.
Yeah, made Ronda look like she never boxed in her life. Yeah,
and Regina Halmich, man, you know, she's been in the game, you know, for a long time. I mean, well, she's been retired for a long time too, but she has a record of 54-1. You know, so
damn. I didn't think about it, but Pena beating Amanda Nunes kind of opens up the doors for Holly Holm to maybe become champ again. Yeah, I mean, unless if the rematch happens and Amanda beats her, then it's not gonna happen. But because Amanda beat Holly pretty convincingly.
Yeah.
So it'll be hard for her to get that rematch. But I always wanted to see Holly Holm become champ again. That'd be a nice end to her story.
Yeah, I like Holly Holmes. Holly Holm. I gotta stop saying her name with plurality.
Yeah.
She's only one person.
But yeah, I think that's all I got.
Likewise, bro. It's always fun, man, recapping these action-packed weekends.
Yeah, it was nice to have a nice big UFC card again.
Yep. So, yeah, man, until next week, once again, my name is Manny.
My name's Alberto.
This is the OnlyFights Podcast, and we out.
Peace.